And good evening, everyone. There's a chance that closed session may run a little bit long, so we may get started a few minutes late, but I think they will be winding down pretty soon.
In order, so that's just what he puts up there. Okay, so right now I'm just seeing him on my screen again.
Well, I'm not seeing the agenda. I'm just seeing Dr. Beckwith's name. Okay. Good evening. It is 7:01. Is this too loud? I'm sorry. Okay. It is 7:01 and I'm calling the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. And before we get started, I just want to state for the record that Dr. Avant Elliott will be excused for this meeting. May I have an approval of the agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Yes, I have a request. I request that item 8D on the consent agenda concerning the change in staffing plan be pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion.
And that is item 8D.
8D.
8D. Shay, would you make that notation for us, please? Okay. At this time, are there any announcements?
Just one. Starting tomorrow, children 5 to 11 can receive vaccinations with approval of their parents at 4 library branches. The closest one to us will be Lewis and Clark. Appointments have to be made, however. So I would urge all parents who are interested in their children being vaccinated 5 to 11, make that appointment. And Mr. Sistrunk, I think, has or will put on the website how to go through and do that. The other closest place would be on Florissant Road, the Florissant Valley branch. But this is a great opportunity free of charge for 5 to 11 years old to be vaccinated.
Thank you for that information. Are there any additional announcements?
Yes, have one. On that same note, the city of Delwood will be hosting a vaccination event this Saturday at Delwood Recreation Center from 9 to 12 for ages 5 to 11. No appointment needed.
Right.
This Saturday, Delwood Recreation Center in conjunction with Delwood Pharmacy. This Saturday, 9 to 12.
Excellent.
It's been brought to my attention, thank you, that we need to vote to remove item 8D. So may I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Say, do we have any patron participation at this time? Anyone that wants to speak before the board?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We will go on with our agenda then. We're on item 5, and this is items for information, gifted program evaluation.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to the SAB, colleagues, and school community. My name is Linda Smith, and my colleague is Jillian Meeson. We are the Gifted Education Specialists for the district. Riverview Gardens Gifted Education Program is called REACH. REACH stands for Reaching Educational, Academically Challenging Heights. Slide 2. Okay, good. Very good. That's correct. You're right. You can go right back. Thank you. We service all 12 schools. There are a total of 77 students in the REACH program. We have 34 REACH students at the elementary level, 14 at the middle school level, and 29 at the high school level. In qualifying students for the Gifted Education Program, we follow the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education guidelines for gifted education, which states that a minimum of 125 is required on the IQ test. To increase our talent pool, universal screening is conducted at the kindergarten level. We screen every kindergartner in the Riverview Gardens schools. This year, we also incorporated the Naglieri, a test that is recommended for use to help identify minority gifted students. The research suggests that the Naglieri test shows less biases amongst various populations of students, and that some minority students may not have had the same exposure, opportunities, and resources as others, and may be more difficult to identify. Therefore, we are always researching and analyzing IQ tests, looking for tests with less biases for minority populations. We also work closely with school counselors for referrals. Students may be referred for REACH testing by classroom teachers, staff, and parents throughout the school year. Names of students who score at the advanced level on district-wide assessments such as the STAR, MAP, and ECOs are forwarded to the REACH department to increase our talent pool and aid in the identification of potential REACH candidates. Critical and creative thinking activities that include fluency, flexibility, originality, and elaboration, along with Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence, STEAM, and college and career readiness activities are embedded within the REACH curriculum. Along with Google Suites, our students are learning to use and operate numerous computer programs such as Seesaw, Scratch, and Spheros. During the 2021 and 22 school year, the REACH staff updated information about the REACH program in the Gifted Education Parent and Staff Handbook. At this time, I'm going to ask my colleague Jillian Meeson to pick up. Thank you.
So we, in efforts to try and overturn any stone to identify students who might otherwise not be identified, we used the Naglieri at the 3rd grade level last year. We administered 149 tests to all the in-person 3rd graders, third grade scholars district-wide. Of that, we identified 3% as potential candidates for REACH. So this practice not only allowed us to maintain our enrollment, but slightly increase it over last year, which was a very challenging and transient time during pandemic and virtual learning. We'll continue to search for the best mechanisms to identify special populations and underrepresented populations. We were still, in spite of virtual learning and the pandemic, we were still able to build a challenging and rewarding curriculum as we shifted gears to deliver our curriculum virtually. We added units like the stock market game, units on philosophy, mythology, geography and map skills, cybersecurity, information on the electoral college process, and we continue to avail ourselves of professional development opportunities that allow us to keep current in educational trends. We did purchase these introductory robots called Spheros that we could use all the way down to kindergartners and first grade, and we have used them to build engaging team building activities that require our scholars to problem solve, to program the robots to tackle challenges. Although many competitions that we would normally go to in a face-to-face situation were not held last year, we did publicize several contests, enrichment opportunities, and individual opportunities to scholars and parents through our website, so that REACH students are able to stay engaged in the pursuit of academic challenges as a result of being placed in this program. And our program website was updated last year, and we have revised our physical printed handbook and pursuing ways that we can further publish this and distribute it digitally. And that's where we're at this year.
Thank you.
Does that end your presentation?
Does that end your presentation?
Yes.
that does.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear you.
Sorry. Thanks.
At this time, board members, thank you, Dr. Bickwood. I see you have a question.
Yes, explain to me the pull-out nature of this program. How much time do the scholars get each week?
Okay, sure. I'll answer that question. Our students, we follow state guidelines, which is 150 minutes per week for each student. So we are in compliance with the state guidelines.
And the second question, what's the main challenge that you all have in the gifted program, in the REACH program?
Well, I would say the identification process. We're trying to find which tests are more conducive for our population of students, which test shows less biases, because we know that a lot of the IQ tests were not normed with various populations of students. So we're always researching which tests would show less biases amongst our students.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of segues into what I wanted to ask. I heard you talk about various assessment tools that you guys use, but I heard you use a word, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing this, medullary.
Naglieri.
Medullary. Can you explain that a little bit more for me? Because I do have a question I want to ask regarding it.
Naglieri is the assessment test named after Dr. Jack Naglieri. It is a nonverbal instrument, meaning there are no words. It is all pictures. Think of it as putting some puzzles together.
Okay.
And so there doesn't need to be any language barriers. There doesn't need to be any preconceived notions of what a definition of a language, of a piece of language is to solve the problem. It often, like, it looks at patterns. So you might say a triangle, a circle, a square, what would come next? And then it goes on to various differences and degrees of difficulty as you go on.
Okay, I thought that's what I understood it to be. So my question is, of the breakdown of the students, I believe you said 34 are elementary, 14, and then 29. How many of those students are students that would be considered special needs students or SSD students?
Interesting.
We do have a number of students who do receive special services in the REACH program.
Okay.
So yes, some of our students are twice exceptional.
I don't know that we've counted it, but yes, I know Dr. Smith and I each have several students in mind.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Oh, Mary, I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't think they heard you, Mary.
Jay said, pull your microphone around.
Will there be any in-person competitions this year, do you think?
Well, that's what they're surveying us about. So we sure hope so, because we've also always have been able to participate with the Gifted Resource Council. So we have our fingers crossed. Our students normally participate in equations, linguistic, and creative convention. So we really hope so. We're preparing our students in belief that there will be in-person competitions this year.
They're usually held in March, so I would imagine those decisions are going to be made shortly.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions for them? Thank you all for sharing with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll now go to item 6 or topic 6, items for discussion. MSBA full maintenance service agreement.
Would you like for me to share it?
Yes.
Okay, so what's being presented this evening is the MSBA, Missouri School Board Association's full maintenance service agreement. And the service that MSBA provides is for our policies. And they currently provide updates at least 2 to 3 times a year. And so I'm recommending that we continue with this agreement in the amount of $3,888.
Are there any questions for Shay about this subject? Thank you for this information, Shay. We will now go to the 2021-2022 calendar revision. Well-being.
Guys, we will now go to item B, which is the 2021-2022 calendar revisions, well-being days, and Juneteenth holiday.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board colleagues and community. Tonight, Elizabeth Austin and myself will be presenting this item for discussion and then for approval later in the meeting. Ms. Austin will go first.
Good afternoon or evening, Board Chair Mauro Real, Vice Chair Mayor Jones, Ms. Oswald, and Dr. Beckwith, Cabinet colleagues, and community. As you know, we've all been in a worldwide pandemic. The past 20 months have been unlike any other we've experienced, and we're feeling that in education. As a result, we have overcome and gone through many obstacles in order to prepare and have carry through with an engaging educational environment for our scholars. Our educators continue to be committed to providing an excellent world-class education for our scholars. And at the same time, they have been sacrificing a great deal over time as a result of the issues that come up in light of the pandemic. Monica, do you want to address Juneteenth?
I think you should go ahead and finish your points, and then I'll come back.
Okay, as you know, Juneteenth is an annual holiday, and it marks the June 19th, 1865, when emancipation news finally reached people in the deepest part of the South.
Ms. Austin, excuse me, I was saying if you could go ahead and just do the budget impact, everything that's related to the item you're presenting, the part you're presenting.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I apologize for my mistake. So I'll go back to the justification for the ask or the recommendation for well-being days. As I mentioned, our leaders, our educators at all of our sites, as well as central office and throughout the district, are serving our families and providing that safe environment, structured environment for education for our students, while functioning with a very high degree of vacancies. Teachers are not getting prep time because they are subbing, and teachers are worn out, very worn out. And so as a result of taking on these extra responsibilities. We did work on the budget impact, and you can see as you scroll down that the budget impact for the 2 well-being days would be an estimated under $50,000. And if we move on to look at the references, we would need to approve a calendar revision. And there are options for moving forward with these well-being days. The well-being days, I believe you can see on the screen. As I said, there are 3 options. I don't want to read them to you verbatim, but the options are forgiving the 2 days. Without forgiving the 2 days, we could add them to the end of the school work year. And since we will have had students meet the required minutes of schooling, the required number of hours, the 2 days added to the end of the school year could be non-student days. And then from there, the third option is to just go ahead, add them to the end of the school year and have more education time. So basically, the actual numbers for the amount of hours that will that students will have been educated is provided there below those 3 different options. We also discovered that transportation for students in transition, SIT students, would impact the budget by saving approximately $15,000 for 2 days by canceling cabs. And then we have the RGSD policies, GCBDA, that support for supportive staff leaves. So the recommendation on the well-being days is to recommend that we approve a calendar revision to grant November 22nd and 23rd as paid district well-being days, thereby foregoing the 2 teacher contract days and 2 student days in attendance for the 2021-2022 school year. And the other thing that we would have to do with this is reschedule the Tuesday, November 23rd board meeting as a result of staff being on well-being days. And we would ask that you consider, please, having that board meeting on November 30th. There is a revised calendar that includes the recommendation, and you can see on the revised calendar. Of course, if there are more questions about the revised calendar, Ms. Williams will be able to answer more in depth, but you see the Thanksgiving week holiday modified if we forgive those 2 days and as well-being days.
Okay. Are there any questions about that before I move on to the Juneteenth part of the presentation?
Are there any questions, Dr. Beckwith?
Yes. The comment that teachers are worn out, I understand that, but this is for all employees. Other employees who may not be teachers, principals, instructional aides, and so forth, they also deserve this same thing. I know they're included, but the term was used, teachers are worn out, and all employees. The other thing, if we're going to move the board meeting back to November 30th, we need to move the December board meeting back a week because we only have 1 board meeting in December and we really need to have that. So as we adjust the board meeting, if you move November 30th back, move December. I see Shay shaking her head. Tell me.
I just see on my calendar that we have Tuesday, December 14th, 2021 as a board meeting. I don't see another board meeting, Dr. Beckwith, on the fourth Tuesday. It's not on my calendar. And this is the calendar that Monica is providing. And then we have 2 in January. We have
Yes, Dr.
Tuesday.
Austin.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Not
ma'am.
Dr. Austin, not to cut you off, but Shay had already answered that the district is closed during that time.
Oh, I didn't hear her. I
No, you didn't
apologize.
hear.
Apologize.
No problem.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Also, during that December month, the finance team normally would send a request to have the payment of bills approved with the range of dates and then have that ratified in June. Because we've always only had one board meeting in December, unless you want to have it this.
No, I wasn't asking to have an additional board meeting, just if you needed to move the date back a week.
The district is closed
Gotcha.
the last 2 weeks.
Right.
I understand.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Were there any other questions or comments regarding this topic?
I would just like to say, give an apology for leaving out all employees. When I made my comment about teachers being worn out, I believe that as a result of the increased services and the increased demand on all of our employees, that each of our employees need to start thinking more about self-care and need to think about their wellness. In speaking with all stakeholder groups, from the central office, secretaries, the cabinet, the managers, directors, and teachers, principals, everyone that's engaged in our district has taken on more as a result of the ramifications of COVID, as well as the ramifications of the numerous vacancies that we're experiencing here in our district.
Thank you. Ms. Williams?
Okay, all right. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, again, colleagues and community. So Juneteenth last year was added as this year is a federal holiday. And we know that it's the observing the end of slavery when the news of emancipation finally reached the deepest parts of the former Confederacy of Galveston, Texas. And in order to support the observance of the new federal holiday, it is recommended that Juneteenth be observed as a paid holiday for 12-month employees. In order to do so, a revision to the district calendar is needed. The date that we are looking at for that is June 20th, 2022. And this is also in line with several surrounding districts that are also observing it on June 20th. The budget impact is $24,380.09 approximately. And it's also in compliance with policy GCBDA, which gives the SAB the authority to add holidays or modify holidays as needed. The recommendation change to add Juneteenth is a holiday that's outside of the academic year. Therefore, no teacher work days or student attendance days are affected by the change. It is also recommended that the Special Administrative Board add Juneteenth as a district paid holiday and approve the revised 2021-2022 district calendar by adding June 20th, 2022, Juneteenth as a paid district holiday. A recommendation for approval will be presented later in the meeting. Are there any questions?
Dr. Beckwith?
More of a comment. I fully support this, but I would hope that teaching staff would have a unit on Juneteenth.
Yes.
Students may be confused and maybe some staff. Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, freeing all slaves in the rebellious state. So the question is, why Juneteenth Day? That needs to be explained to students, and teachers need to do some research on Juneteenth Day so students fully understand why there is a Juneteenth Day and why it deserves to be a national holiday.
Thank you for that, Dr. Beckwith. Any additional questions or comments? I just wanted to state that I am a person that has celebrated Juneteenth, even when it wasn't a holiday. And sometimes we would even travel down south to be with family who have observed this. My family has observed Juneteenth for I don't know how many years since I was growing up, and it just really does my heart proud to see that Missouri finally has made it a holiday. I have no additional comments. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. The resolution of the COVID-19 leave.
Yes, this item of discussion is regarding a resolution for COVID-19 leave. In this resolution, it's only for staff, not their family members, employees who are fully vaccinated. If they fall into one of the categories stated here, A through D, the board will provide an additional 10 days of paid leave to full-time employees who are unable to work or telework. The COVID-19 leave will be available July 1st, 2021, which we know was a few months ago, and it will expire on June 30th, 2022, and will not apply to absences from duties related to summer school. Employees will not be compensated for unused COVID days. The board has the right also to make changes to this resolution or to cancel it at any time. Now, this COVID-19 resolution does not include the following. It does not include a mandatory COVID-19 vaccination for district staff, nor weekly COVID-19 testing for unvaccinated staff, and also COVID-19 leave for unvaccinated staff, unvaccinated employees where circumstances related to COVID-19 pandemic may result in staff absences from work due to illness and are mandated quarantine for self. The purpose of this temporary resolution is to identify situations where the district will offer paid leave in response to COVID-19 related absences from work. And it is also recommended that the SAB restore no more than 10 annual leave days to the leave bank of employees who were fully vaccinated against COVID-19, but were unable to work or telework from home for reasons related to COVID-19 that are specified in this resolution from July 1st, 2021 to the adoption of this resolution. The costs are not additional wages. These are wages that would have normally been paid through the payroll salary process. The legal reference here is that MSBA is recommending that we do a resolution versus a temporary policy, as it is viewed that COVID-19 is a temporary situation that we have to deal with. So in the recommendation, it is recommended that the Special Administrative Board approve a resolution to provide 10 days of COVID-19 leave for fully vaccinated employees against COVID-19 that are unable to work or telework from home for the reasons related to COVID-19 that are specified in the resolution. It is also recommended that the SAB restore no more than 10 annual leave days to the leave bank of employees who were fully vaccinated against COVID-19 that were unable to work or telework from home for the reasons related to COVID-19 that are specified in this resolution from July 1st, 2021 to the adoption of this resolution. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
We will now move to item D, Temporary Staffing and Human Resources Department.
Okay, I have that one again. All right, so with this one, for the last 4 months, we've had a temporary worker in human resources assisting with benefits administration, and we would like to extend that assignment for at least 4 to 6 more weeks. The current temporary worker, this will ensure the continuity of work and to minimize disruption in services. It would be in the best interest of Riverview Gardens to continue using the same temporary worker. Therefore, I'm recommending that we continue using K-Force as the vendor to provide temporary benefits administration. The billing rate is $36.85 per hour. It is budgeted at this point not to exceed $9,000 more from the human resources budget. Recommendation is recommended that the Special Administrative Board approve the Human Resources Department to extend the contract with K-Force Temporary Staffing Agency to utilize a temporary benefits administrator for an additional 4 to 6 weeks. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Thank you for this information, Monica.
Thank you.
Before I move to approve the consent agenda items, I believe that I want to restate that we have pulled the item D, 2021-2022 staffing plan adjustment at this time. So I'm asking now for an approval of the consent agenda minus item D.
Yes, but I would also like to speak to item D once it's pulled.
Okay.
Okay.
All
I
right.
move approval of the consent agenda minus item D.
Second.
Question? Go ahead, Dr. Beckwith. Mhm.
Yes, I'm asking that item D, revised staffing plan, be pulled from the consent agenda and postponed until the November 23rd SAB meeting in order to give Dr. Pruitt Adams time to meet with curriculum and instruction administrators as well as the principals. To approve the revised staffing plan will increase the likelihood of 3 present classroom teachers being taken from the classroom and thereby cause additional critical teaching vacancies at this time, particularly at the secondary level, where there are already district-wide approximately 50 or more vacant teaching positions. As presented at our last meeting, the secondary school document showed that in math, science, and technology at the high school, there are 5 vacant mathematics positions, 2 science vacancies, 3 instructional coach vacancies. At the middle school, Central, 2 math vacancies, 3 science vacancies, Westview, 2 math vacancies, 3 science vacancies. Said in lump sum, we need our teachers in the classroom as opposed to pulling them out and pouring gasoline on the fire. And that's my reason for wanting this to be postponed until the next board meeting, giving Dr. Pruitt Adams time to review this and make a recommendation to the board.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for that, Dr. Griffin. You've approved ours and
Okay, I apologize for that. Thank you, Dr. Beckwith, for those comments. We need to make a motion. I think
The motion is already on the floor.
yeah. So, and we question, so roll call vote? We don't need to do a roll call vote?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you. I need this to be moved down so I can see the next thing. Okay, no wonder you didn't want me to see it. So the last item on our agenda is adjournment.
No.
I'm sorry.
Action item.
Oh.
Action.
Oh, I don't want to get beat up. I apologize for that, everyone. That's the most important item I believe that you all are waiting to hear.
They'll be waiting for you at the door.
Yes, they'll be waiting for me at the door. So that's okay. So item 9 has to do with the 2021 calendar revisions and the well-being days and Juneteenth holiday.
I move approval.
Second.
Now I believe we need to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The last thing on our agenda now is to adjourn. May I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second. Do I need to do a roll call vote?
No, just.
Adjourn, we adjourn. We adjourn.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Now, Reggie, this is more like